So Craig, we were talking earlier about how when you're introducing HOP and learning teams into CHEP, you brought it in, it came through the middle of the organisation, or it started from the bottom and fed up. Can you tell me more about that?
So this is it was a big change in the way that we'd traditionally approached safety within the company, and so I found it was a way of testing the waters. And so we've had some regular forums of our health and safety representatives in each of our regions within Australia and New Zealand. And so they were the first groups that I actually tested this with. I had some information that I'd pulled together from some experts in the area, South Pac, Andrea Baker and Sydney Decker. And so I presented some material to the health and safety reps, and the only thing that I asked of that group at the time was that if at the end of the session you come out of this with just a different way of thinking about the things that you observe in the workplace, then that was all I was after. And it was really well received. In each of the sessions that I'd had, it was like a penny had dropped for a lot of people in the room, and that gave me confidence to say, look, there really might be something in this. And so from that point, I then started to engage the senior leadership within our business to gain support to try this on a wider scale within the business.
So, as I understand, we've been talking before, and as I understand it, a lot of the learning teams you've been running have had a real operationally task focus. Can you share with us a good example of a success you've had, and just run us through the process and who was on the team, and some success you've had at that operational task level?
Yeah. So with our learning teams, the way that we started was, because this was something very different, our approach to organisational learning from a safety point of view, the centrepiece of that was traditionally the ICAM methodology. And so this was something new, so we actually engaged South Pac to run 4 facilitated learning teams where they would facilitate, and we had initially some members of the safety team in there as observers to understand the questions. So from that point, as we're running the learning teams now, we'll have a facilitator who we're coaching some of the operations managers to be facilitators. My team are facilitators as well. We'll have a note taker, and then the participants are generally, depending on the subject that we're approaching, we like to keep it to maybe 3 or 4 participants. For example, we ran a learning team just last week at one of our operational sites, and they approached me and they said, we'd like to do a learning team on forklift breakdowns because it's causing us some problems, and to see if we can learn more on what we can do about that. What I suggested to them was to, in running the learning team, take the scope out a little bit and not try and be too focused on a single issue, because there might be a number of other factors which are influencing the experience within our yard operations, because ultimately that's what their problem was it was affecting yard operations. So that was where we pitched the learning team, was yard operations at that facility. And so the people that I asked the service centre manager to select the people, to approach the people to volunteer to be on the team. And so we had 2 forklift drivers, we had a leading hand, and because they also play an integral part in the operations within the yard, we approached one of the regular truck drivers that come into that facility as well to come in and actually join part of the learning team. So he was an external person in there, and so yeah, we ran the learning team. We had some great. So I'm actually based. My office is sort of beside the service centre, and so I know the operation. I thought I knew the operations intimately.
Interesting.
So I've been around that service centre for a lot of years.
Yeah.
But even for me as a facilitator of that learning team, there were there are a lot of things, just the intricacies of the interplay between the forklifts and the machines and the trucks and so forth. So there were some fantastic learnings that came out of that session for the Lidcombe site that will allow them to potentially make changes to how the work is designed at that site to improve safety, to improve productivity, and improve the experience again for the customers that flow through that site, which are primarily the truck drivers.
Yeah, wow. So did the manager at so Terry, was he surprised by anything he learnt from an outcome from the learning team?
Yeah, there was, and this is what we've found is the most critical thing in a learning team is to establish an atmosphere of complete trust. And I spend, and the other facilitators spend a lot of time making sure that the participants are aware that they can say anything in that environment. And what we share out of the learning team is really common themes that emerge, not the actual detail of what each person said. And once they understand that, they really start to open up about how work is done. So we talk about the black line versus blue line.
Yeah.
That's when you start to understand the blue line, is when they understand, I really can be honest in here without consequence.